Hi folks, it's Rich here, just sat in the car, going to play golf. It's just started to rain, what's that all about? Anyway, I've just watched a video about Chapman Guitars from a YouTuber, and it's another kind of Chapman hate video really, and I just wanted to put maybe it's a bit of a rant, but just something to think about for those people who are constantly going on about fucking Chapman Guitars and giving the guy grief and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so firstly, let's just talk about the product, not Rob Chapman or the brand, just the product. And like any product out there, if you go and look for something that you want and you've got certain needs and a certain budget, they offer very good value for money, decent guitars. So number one, you know, just it's got Chapman on the headstock. Why does that matter if the guitar is good and it's what you want? So that's just my first thing really. Then someone else was talking about Chapman copying Charvel or copying some Ibanez models. Now, strictly speaking, isn't every guitar in some way a copy of a Fender or a Gibson? You know, in electric terms. I mean, they were the first ones to bring guitars out. So every shape you see with a double cutaway or a single cutaway really is, if you're going to say Chapman are copying other brands, then everyone's copying Fender and Gibson. But let's just take the word copy out altogether and just say it's an evolvement. Guitars have evolved, haven't they? People like Harley Benton and Jet and lots of other proper budget guitar brands, yes, they blatantly clone the most popular iconic guitars of all different sorts, which is all for, you know, in its own way, that's fine if that's what they want to do, because as a consumer, you know, 99% of people want the best thing that's available to them, and 99% of people can't afford it, so they look for the best alternative that they can find, and often that is a clone. So that's one thing. But in terms of Chapman copying a Charvel, I mean, come on, do me a favour. They're just taking other guitars on the market, as lots of brands do, and they see what other people are doing and they take the best bits and they think that's a good idea, and then they put their own spin on it and evolve it in some way and make it their own. What's wrong with that? Nothing. It's not a clone, not a copy, and even if it were, who cares? Does it really matter? Just think of all the other things you buy. When you go to the local supermarket and you don't want to buy Heinz baked beans because they're 99 pence a can, and you buy Sainsbury's own, which is 49p a can, they're a clone. You're going to stop buying those? And then let's talk about Rob Chapman himself, and I've said this so many times. First of all, Chapman Guitars isn't owned just by Rob. Lee Anderton's a 50% owner. So for those people hating on Rob Chapman, do you hate Lee Anderton too? Do you perceive him as a grade A-hole? Maybe not. And in terms of Rob himself, when you buy products outside, say in the guitar world, what about Fender and Gibson? Both have in recent times been done for price fixing. Do you know the CEO or the MD or the commercial director of Fender and of Gibson? Do you? No, didn't think so. So you think you know Rob Chapman, and yes, he said some things a couple of years ago, and maybe some of his actions weren't right as far as we know. But you know, there's two sides to every story. But whether they are or not, number one, people make mistakes, people apologise for it, and people move on. So what, you're going to hold a grudge against the guy forever for something you think he did or didn't do? But going back to other brands and their CEOs and their owners that you don't know, you know, you'll happily go and buy a Fender guitar or a Gibson. For all you know, the CEO of Gibson or Fender might be an absolute spot. They might do some really horrible things, and probably in business they have. And what about if you buy something from Amazon? Everyone buys something from Amazon from time to time. What about their ethics? What about their working conditions for staff? And what about Jeff Bezos himself? And what about all these other people? You still buy those products, don't you? Yeah. So you think you know Rob, whether you do or you don't, just because he's in the public realm, that's got nothing to do with the brand and what the products are. It's totally hypocritical. And it just irritates me just hearing it all the time. Rob this, Rob that. What about, you don't hear people saying, you know, what about Rob and the good things that he does? You know, you talk to people, or when you see or hear other people talking about Rob and what he's like as a person, and some of the charitable things he does and all that kind of stuff. And he's a father as well. He's I just don't get all of the narrow-minded viewpoint on it. So a quick recap: you buy Sainsbury's baked beans because you can't afford Heinz baked beans. That's the same thing buying a lower priced guitar that's trying to be you know, or as a model on something else. You buy stuff on Amazon, you don't know the people who own that brand, or Fender or Gibson or anybody else for that matter. So Chapman Guitars is a brand of guitars that makes sort of modern spins on older style guitars like lots of brands do, and they're good value for money, and it's a good guitar, and if you like it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't have to. But these people keep saying, Chapman, you know, is Chapman irrelevant? Is it an irrelevant brand? People even saying, well, I don't think they're going to last much longer with solar guitars doing so well. I mean, what's that supposed to mean? Just because another guitar brand is doing well based on someone who's on YouTube who was in a band, still is in a band. So? And then other people saying, oh, and all these artists leaving the brand. Well, let's say you work for Ford Motor Company and you're a Ford car salesperson, and then comes knocking on the door Audi, who's a much bigger company, more prestige, and are offering you more money. Doesn't matter how much loyalty you've got to Ford or whichever other brand you work for in your working life. Someone offers you an opportunity to do bigger things and better things perhaps and get paid more, then you go for that, don't you? Chapman's still a small guitar brand with limited reach and limited funds. So people like Rabia, who left recently, who's still good friends with Rob, so there's nothing to do with that, and Lee for that matter. You know, he's got offered an opportunity to do something else with a bigger brand, and why wouldn't you do that? And besides, in terms of artists that Chapman have got, you know, a couple of guys from Steel Panther have got a couple of guitars off them now. Yes, it's not the lead guitarist, but you know, he's been using Chauvel's, is it, or Kramer's for years, but they're using them to help make music and help write songs. A guy from Blackstone Cherry, got Lacuna Coil, I don't know, the list goes on. There are plenty of them, and of course Danish Pete's just signed up for them. So Chapman as a brand, are they really that bad, and their products also that shit that Pete doesn't want to go there? What do people think of Pete? You don't hear people hating on him, do you? No. So if Pete really thought something about Chapman as a brand, he wouldn't be going there, would he? So the point is here, I'm not saying I'm a Chapman super fan. I'm just trying to say, just have a look at it on balance and think about yourself and your own behavioural integrity on the things that you buy, the choices that you make to buy them. Just because Rob is in the public realm, people think they know him and they think they know stuff about the products, and they make all these judgments on it, and then some of the stupid comments about, oh, it's a clone of a fucking this or that. Please just have a think about that and have a think about yourself.